वाक्यों से अनुच्छेद लिखें। इनसे बने वाक्यों के शीर्षक के आधार पर निबंध लिखें। ओम नमः शिवाय, नासा, नृत्य। श्री कृष्ण ने जिस स्थान पर अर्जुन एवं संयुक्त सैन्य अभ्यास प्रशिक्षण कार्यक्रम में आर्यावर्त के सेना को सभी धर्म ग्रंथों, वेदों, पुराणों, उपनिषदों और गीता का उपदेश दिया, और देते हुए ब्रह्म के विश्व रूप का ज्ञान दिया, उस स्थल को कुरुक्षेत्र कहेंगे। गुरुक्षेत्र, गुरुक्षेत्र। अर्जुन शब्द में अ के समरूप अन्य वर्ण क्या है? क, स, ल, इनमें से कोई नहीं। Electoral bonds related details to be checked. An evening walk to the river Yamuna and watching twinkling lunar lights floating on tides of the river water gave an outlook on potentials of optical transmission from moon in the river. Respectively, solar optical rays regulates the atmospheric thermostats. Resultantly, atmospheric weather change occurs. 22nd March 2024, I have distributed my visiting cards to local students. Onwards, wrote a letter to the Governor, Reserve Bank of India, and submitted it via email adscm@rbi.org.in. Developed word drill for essay writing. Drafted my visiting card for online tutorials. To process biography for book and book descriptions. About the author, I am exploring avenues of manifestation of the supernatural omnipotency of God through my continuous research-based documentation and teaching learning process, along with my professional consultancy services for life management, sustainable development, and public health. I have organized hundreds of one-day workshops on personality development. I have also worked with development organization as an author and project manager. Nowadays, I am developing online tutorial classes on general knowledge, general studies, ethics, essay writing, tips on issue of national and international significance related with welfare, economy, science and technology, public health and climate change related disaster risk reduction, and aspects of humanitarian action for ensuring security and peaceful coexistence of our common humanitarian society. Chandan Kumar Mishra, all about book. Adoration is the spiritual process of admiration to the glory of the God. Poetic prayers compiled in this book aims to promote positive ethical spiritual values of devotion, loyalty towards the mightiest kingdom of the God, sense of dedicated sentimental affection towards the mesmerizing personality of the God, expression of understanding of the integrated duty and responsibilities of the human body from incarnated souls towards the glorious and divine miraculous creation of the God, the Mother Planet Earth. This book would be helpful for sincere spiritual practitioners, nurses, and students to calibrate their thinking pattern and instincts of emotional response intelligently towards the uncertain circumstances of life. I hope my book Vandana and Adoration would be helpful for readers for their personality development. With best wishes for prosperous future of the reader, this book is being published with Blue Rose Publishers. Chandan. Global Indexes, World Food, World Press Freedom Index, Global Manufacturing Risk Index, Global Hunger Index, International Intellectual Property Index, Global Innovation Index, Global Food Security Index, World Economic Forum Global Gender Gap Report, World Happiness Report, World Competitive Index, Global Peace Index, Global Bribery Risk Reduction Index, Livability Index, Age of Living Index, Food Safety Index, Pratihita Darpan and other books are also useful. I was reading Panorama Yearbook 2022 Volume 1. It gives an insight about multi-dimensional progress of the India and aspects of its partnership for cooperation with its global alliance into the sector of defense, space, healthcare, infrastructure development, and scientific process. I read it till 44 pages. To be continued task to work on marriage ceremony commencement, Maas Pakstithi Vasre. To the United Nations Human Rights Council, Delhi, New Delhi, 6 April 2024. To the UNHRC, CC, ICJ, NHRC, Pandit Nehru and Global Leaders Emeritus, 6 April 2024. I am feeling intense pain of deception as my written research reports to save humanitarian society through representation of the realities of suffering of the global humanitarian society. Approach to identify and think over the challenges related with sufferings of the deprived, poor, unemployed, disease died due to the any kind of accident or attack by their intended enemies, killed in public disorder and agitation, uncontrolled migration, disruption of supply chain management during emergency-related unexpected circumstances appear during the proclaimed pandemic declaration in 2020. Complaint on online data. Sector-wise non-exposure of appearance online or whether it is required. Honorable Excellencies, designated as selected, nominated, elected applicants, observers, victims, survivors of the victims and local resource persons performing their duties and services to assure uninterrupted supply of essential foods, water, daily consumable and day-to-day household waste, byproducts, residues, residents, welfare, hospitals, accredited social health activists, doctors' fathers, nursing sisters, ANMs, caregivers, sweepers, cleaners, domestic health workers, teachers, students, family members, brothers-in-laws, mothers-in-laws, wives, lovers, widows, orphan died or injured during any kind of accident, calamities, natural or man-made or anthropogenic population drift, tsunamis, earthquakes, volcano eruptions, willful or wrongful discharge by unknown, ignorant, new-born babies, elders, siblings, students, senior, intellectual laureates, lords, ladies, kings, queens, princes, prince, dukes, honorable presidents, honorable district administrators, honorable local service, surveillance, security, care, stay, relaxation, repatriation, transit, purchase, exchange. I interrupt for your kind hearing, listening, watching, studying, walking, speaking, talking, and sensing, sending representatives for home visits, health testing, checkups, medical prescriptions, supervisions, mental healing support, devotional care, audiences, viewers, observers, writers, orators, data analysts, well-wishers for observation and X time, travel, distance, tourism, educational research care, visits by family in-laws, near and dear one, students, officers, administrators, online optical demonstrations, and exhibitions of skills, healthcare, treatment, devotions, approach to encourage people to speak, write, listen, orate, interpret, narrate, elaborate, surveillance to support for safety, transport, observe through the panels of supervisors, association, welfare association, accountants, household domestic surveyors, assembly, transportation of goods and vehicles to live. Cordial thanks to the queens and poor servants of the society. The panel of experts, delegates, representatives, international gold clubs, jurists, jewelers, jewels, pearls of wisdom, peace, prayers, representation, equinox on advanced aspects of its urgent home-based distribution of the currencies, goods, and services. Pay me my incurred income for my services. Visits, residences, houses, offices, libraries, guest houses, girls' hostels, residence, religious assemblies, exchange of goods, partnership, and allotment of related belongings to be given to the nominated in honor of the same. The distributed sent gifts documents must be given to the person, people, forum, and the non-disclosure of apprehension to be revoked for the proportionate imprisonment, appearance, counter-insurgency surveillance, offered the optically supervised, monitored, edited census. People were killed, died, and the voices and inscriptions of the cognizance, recognition, mute expectations, monitoring for endorsement to morning roll calls, recalling expressions. These all are written in scripts knowledge. If they are being respected, then none of the document created by anybody could be deleted by an individual. These are my manuscripts. I was forced into such circumstances. And people have deleted my online documents also. It is not acceptable. They must return. United Nations Human Rights Council and the continuation of the United Nations and other associated persons who further translates it, produced for superview, review, purview, reformed, reproduced, wrote, read, remember, recalled, defend, challenged, doubted, reviewed, and endorsed for allotment and possession of the gifts, donated, reimbursed, refunded, endured for payment, outreach, and document sharing. The co-learners, couples, family relatives, residents, immigrants, United Nations Nobel and Able Laureates, princes, administrators, as the Queen, King provides, promotes, encourages, advice about the names, not anal, oral, or during sleep. People are being praised, suppressed, killed due to the non-recognizable as the members of the fetuses, fuses, disposes biological waste byproducts, reservoirs, hemoids, as people perform their duties. Renunciation among the houses of the common receptionist, and the process of the adoration, hostages, retentions, hostels, rest houses, board of the jurist and governor, generals for recognition of the cognizance, rewards, duties, and mobilized, rebuked, revoked, endorsed, revoked for such harmful interruption with evil intent of enmity by the person who did not reveal his identity or her identity to me before following me and intentionally harmed me. He or she must be compensated or compensate me into the context that how I was harmed. I interrupt as it should not be deleted as the humbly adored and translated obligations of the duties for मकान का like एक घर प्रवास भी है based or other United Nations Human Rights Council obeys the protocol of the surgeries. Replacements, replantation, adoption of the lives of the hospital, treatments, Honorable Excellencies, members of the United Nations Correspondent Associations, assemblies, rest houses, eating and sleeping chambers, rooms, houses, residence, apartments, rooms, kitchens, indoor, women and men's welfare, Vaishvik Manwale, houses, classes, assemblies, and I can hear you. I could listen and will rest with peace after your obliged scheduled representation, assessments of the international intellectual and lawyers, giant hemoids, human alliances, blood banks, laboratories, ambulances, Red Cross Society of London, Lincoln, billiards, documents, visiting cards, life insurances, allowances, so the hemoids, human alliances, blood banks, laboratories, ambulances, Red Cross Society of London, Lincoln, billiards, documents, visiting cards, life insurances, allowances, scholarships, per diem, organized classes, so that everyone could peacefully and silently observe, learning, listening, notify and support for resolution of the guest houses, where after life serving and respectfully served associates, subordinates, you can calmly participate in food assemblies, and security should be continuously supervised across the origins, residencies, conferences, halls, parks, avenues, premises, and United Nations Translators Associations are the distinguished and designated who speaks and write in their respective language, where international historical monuments and disaster affected reviewed and guarded. Warriors assures representation in the Matribhasha, Bhratibhasha, where people further interprets, orates, writes, reviews, produced, censored, broadcasted, evaluated, and monetized wealth of the inherited heritage, culture, civilization, contracts, grants, and pre-scheduled, rescheduled, revised, recalled, listening, and simultaneous interpreted assures recognition and safe displacement of the heavy and raw, natural, reproduced, and voted cognizance for presentation in White Houses, assemblies of the administrators who assure supply of essential goods and human rights protection care, supply of foods, waters, drinks, breakfast, canteen, premises, resident and veteran defense personnel serving since their recognized and mobilized interaction. Doctors, associations and students, classmates, business associates, subordinates, and the Enrollment Assembly of the Global Press Association, Barristers and Registrars Association often discuss for accomplishment of the reproduction recalls remembrance consistently and received and recognized attention to further pay due with kind attention with follow-up to establish coordination during search and saved cognizance and supervision so that the optical transmission of the statements of the national informatics human could be recorded. Jurists, arbitrators, resident students, schools, house ministers. I thank you all, honorable administrators, administrators, and receptionists coordinated with call centers, head ministers, and head ministries of the educational institutions could guide family members, wives, children, patients, officers for the recovery from painful and sorrowful conditions. Recognizing delegates and selected staffs of the reputed organization are serving, and their reviewed dictions, supervisors, and United Nations Publications Associations reviewed the precise learning and infer perspectives assure sense of satisfaction, and people's life must be protected into the context of sensed, supervisory, delegated, and sensed promoted for its global languages translation. Annotations, demarcations, tax deduction at sources of the reviewed testimony at bankers, governing books, boards of the Bretton Woods associations, and scheduled commercial classes as the trainers, training supervisors, investigators, examiners, students, subordinates, housing, resident welfare approach for voting, and providing officers of the Worldwide Broadcasting Corporation to save people life during the instances of genocide. सभी मानवों की रक्षा करें. But where such kind of crime or other kind of violations of the human rights are happening? Why? Who? Where? हे भगवान, यह हमारे देश की स्थिति है या जो वक्ता है, इसकी प्रार्थना सुने. As the process of interaction includes appraisal and scheduling in protocol of incoming and reviewed propagated message for the safety of old age women, old age men, adults, elders, youngsters, co-viewers, audiences, and the international tourist associations, International Men's Association, International Women's Association, Bankers Association, as the International Court of Justice and registered supervisors, global administrators, associates, and the avenues and the Global Governance Alliance assures internal as well as external cybersecurity architecture reconstructions. Associations assures its related supervision as well as immediate remembrance of the reimbursement of the allowance of the evaluated amounts of the coins and currencies, monetized, endorsed grants, compensations, gifts, offerings, donations, journal entry, assures its proportionate transfer as the Gibraltar Strait assures safety. With thanks, Chandan Kumar Mishra. Saturday, 6 April 2024. Again,